This constitutes a security hazard.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Jack here. Hope you are doing well. In today's Security Hazard Mini, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. Normally, I would have some of my Thunderbirds toys and merchandise and Gerry Anderson memorabilia out on the table, and we'd be talking about that. But instead, what I'm going to do today is actually speculate and dream a little bit and think about all the things that I would love to see made, manufactured, produced. I would like to see happen at some point. And these are dreams I've had maybe since I was a itty bitty little child, or more recently as a much bigger child. These are the things that, as a Gerry Anderson fan, I've always wanted to see, and as far as I know, have never happened. And actually, the thing that prompted this, this has actually been a while in the making, trying to sort of produce this video and get it out there, is because I was going to write for Joe 90's 50th anniversary back in 2017, 2018. I was going to write an article speculating what I thought was going to happen for the 50th anniversary of Joe 90. And one of the first things that I said in that draft that never got published was, oh, well, they'll never release Joe 90 on Blu-ray. Why would they? What would be the interest? It's a very limited appeal. They had just done Captain Scarlet on Blu-ray. I was just like, no, there's no way they're going to do Joe 90 on Blu-ray. And then they did. They did network release Joe 90 on Blu-ray. At which point I was just like, wow, okay, we live in an age where anything could happen. It's possible that some of these things will happen. So I then started drafting an article again to go up on the Security Hazard blog. I have so many unfinished drafts on there. Honestly, it's ridiculous. I started drafting an article of like, these are the Anderson things that I dream will happen. And if I was feeling like, okay, if I put it out there into the universe, maybe it will happen. So I started writing this article. I never published it. And so I'm doing it now. I'm going to do this video. So as of 2025, what would I love to see? Obviously, this year is Thunderbirds' 60th anniversary, and we kind of know that there are some things in the works that are going on. Corgi, for example, have been re-releasing their Thunderbirds toys with updated tooling to make them more kind of screen accurate. But they also announced that they are going to do a Corgi Thunderbird 5. That is really, really exciting, because one of the things as a kid that I always wanted was more Thunderbird 5 toys. I always thought Thunderbird 5 would make a great toy. Of course, I understand now as an adult some of the impracticalities of making Thunderbird 5 as a toy, but I always wanted it, and I had the one that Vivid Imaginations made, the Soundtech one. I did have that, but I always wanted more. So the fact that Corgi are making a die-cast one to fit in with their range is really, really exciting. At time of recording, no photos of that have been released yet, so we don't know what it's going to look like. But, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed that it looks good, because Thunderbird 5 is quite easy to mess up. Let's just say that. It's such a complex shape, and trying to make that work as a toy, something that's sturdy and wouldn't break as soon as you look at it, can be tricky. So I'm very excited to see what that looks like. But what that led me to think about was, I always, as a kid, what I really, really wanted was a supersized Thunderbird 5 playset. Something that would match the large Thunderbird 1, Thunderbird 2, Thunderbird 3 that were produced by Vivid Imaginations in the early 2000s. I wouldn't have necessarily expected it to be in scale with Thunderbird 3 so that the two could slot together, but just a Thunderbird 5 playset that came with a little John figure that had an interior that opened up, something with lights and sounds in it. It kind of would have been a bit of a kind of a doll's house thing, I guess, is the way I'm picturing it. But it would have been, I don't know. This is me just imagining it off the top of my head. Probably about that size. Obviously, it would have had the antenna coming off at the bottom, which would have made it quite difficult. This is why they didn't manufacture it, is because you've got that antenna sticking out at the bottom. That means you need to have a stand to put it on, or you need to remove the antenna on the bottom. It's a really impractical toy. Let's just say that. But let's say you had a stand for it. So you had a Thunderbird 5 that was about that big. You would have had like the control area, and you would have opened it up, and there would have been a John Tracy figure in there and buttons to press on the inside, a nice little replica of the interior of Thunderbird 5. Yeah, Thunderbird 3 docking would have been quite nice, but I can understand why that might have been impractical. I mean, even if you didn't make them in scale with each other, if you could just make it so that Thunderbird 5 had a hole in it that was big enough. Yeah, we won't go there. But anyway, that's what I would have wanted in a Thunderbird 5 supersized playset. I think that would have been really, really good fun. I would love to have seen that as a kid. Would they ever manufacture one now? Probably not. Probably not. But it would have been really nice to see. It was really encouraging, actually, when they did for Thunderbirds Are Go, the 2015 series. The fact they did a supersized Thunderbird 2 and Thunderbird 3. I believe they were going to do Thunderbird 1, but it never happened. The fact that Vivid Imaginations were able to kind of do that, I was like, and they did do a Thunderbird 5 from that series as well. So, Thunderbird 5, I can tell toy manufacturers want to do it, but it's always a difficult one to achieve, just because the shape of it is so impractical. So yeah, so Thunderbird 5, more toys of that, would love to see. Blu-ray releases. Let's talk about Anderson Home Media. Now, there's been a sort of shift in the waters recently because Network, who were producing Gerry Anderson DVDs and Blu-rays for the longest time, they went out of business a couple of years ago. It seems like Anderson Entertainment are kind of picking up the mantle of that a little bit. They're doing the Space Precinct Blu-ray that's coming out. They've done The Day After Tomorrow on Blu-ray. So and there have been hints, a Thunderbirds Blu-ray for the 60th anniversary, possibly for the first time, the UK might get Thunderbirds in the correct 4:3 aspect ratio on Blu-ray. Wouldn't that be something? Amazing that it's taken this long, but if that happens, that would be sensational. Actually, because I've lived in America for quite a few years, that hasn't been a problem. I got the Shout Factory Blu-ray release ages ago, and it's available on streaming and things like that in the correct aspect ratio in high definition. So that's great. But I would really, really like to see. I think the UK has waited long enough to get those original 32 episodes in high definition 4:3, on Blu-ray. That would be really, really nice. And of course, lots of bonus features and everything else. But honestly, the most important thing is just get those episodes out there in the correct aspect ratio. It it's just one of those things that I'm like, I cannot quite understand the reasoning for why they ever released it on Blu-ray cropped in 16:9 in the first place. I think that was just a bad, whatever bit of market research ITV were doing at that time, 2008, when they brought that Blu-ray out. Man, they shouldn't have listened to it, because that I can understand why you might look at a 4:3 program, a TV show, and go, okay, well, all TVs are 16:9 widescreen now, so we need to fill that space. I can understand why a delusional bit of market research might tell you that that's the right thing to do, but it isn't. I think we can all agree that cropping out half of the picture is not the solution to that problem, nor is stretching it. Thank goodness they never just stretched the thing. No, just present it in 4:3 with black down either side of the screen. That's fine. Please do that. So anyway, yeah, I'm hopeful that Thunderbirds will get a proper Blu-ray release in the UK at last. Obviously, it's had it in lots of other countries as well, so I'm like, it's not necessarily too urgent for me, but I know that there are fans in the UK who desperately, desperately want that. So Blu-ray release for Thunderbirds, but also there are just so many things that I would love to see on Blu-ray, and we're actually quite spoiled as Gerry Anderson fans for how much of the back catalogue is available in high definition in the best possible quality. 4K releases, I'm on the fence about, to be honest. I could obviously see the benefit of releasing the series in 4K. Anything that was shot on film has that capability, but is it commercially viable? I don't know. It's not personally something that I feel I need. With my, I have bad eyesight, so my ability to see the difference between 1080p and 4K is pretty limited. So, so for me, 4K is not necessarily a priority. I would rather, instead of re-releasing things that already exist in 1080p into 4K, what I would rather they do is take things that have only ever been released in standard definition, put them into high definition. So, with that in mind, my kind of list of things that I would like to see on Blu-ray would be the Secret Service, one of the color Supermarination series. So it's like, please release that on Blu-ray, and actually go to the effort of rescanning the film elements and do a proper restoration of that. As much as I can understand why for something like Space Precinct doing an AI upscaling makes more sense, because literally the original film elements for that do not seem to be available. The Secret Service, they are available, so I would desperately hope that if a Secret Service Blu-ray ever does come along, that those original film elements are rescanned, that they are restored, properly. There's only 13 episodes, so I would hope that makes it cost effective. And I know the obviously the audience for the Secret Service is much smaller. But I mean, come on, it's basically it's one of those things where if they can't do it properly, then don't do it. But hopefully they can do it properly. So anyway, Secret Service on Blu-ray would be fantastic. The other thing, and this is a personal one for me, is Four Feather Falls on Blu-ray would be amazing. I think there are a couple of reasons why that's difficult to do. Number one is just Four Feather Falls, again, limited audience appeal, because it's not as well known as some of the later Supermarination stuff. It's also in black and white. That doesn't help with the appeal of these things, although I personally don't think that makes a difference, but that's just me. But yeah, because we've had 2 episodes of Four Feather Falls in HD. We had Gunfight on Main Street, which first came out in 2009 on the Day in the Life of a Space General Fireball XL5 coloured set that Network did back in 2009. So I'd love to see Gunfight. So Gunfight on Main Street looks amazing in HD. They also did the colorized Network just before they went out of business. They did the colorized Four Feather Falls First Train Through episode, which they colorized. Now, I'm personally not a huge fan of colorization. It's just not for me. I understand there's an audience for it. It's just that I don't need it. But it does look good in high definition. I will say that. So Four Feather Falls can look amazing in high definition. And I think it's viable because that series is so, it has that lovely homemade quality to it, where it's sort of AP films starting to look really, really professional and glossy, but you can still sense the sort of handmade nature of all the puppets and props and everything else. So just being able to see that detail on lovely kind of cleaned up versions of the episodes would just look so good. So I would love to see that. Also, because it's a Western, I kind of, it inherently feels old fashioned. So I want to be able to see the film grain and all the smudges and the dirt and stuff like that. I kind of want to see that. So yeah, Four Feather Falls on Blu-ray, again, the original film elements scanned would be fantastic. A couple of reasons why that is difficult. As I mentioned, Four Feather Falls, limited audience appeal, but also some of the episodes, it looks like maybe don't survive in a completed state. I don't know if you've ever watched the Four Feather Falls DVD, but there are bits, just sections, like cuts from the opening titles and the closing titles mostly, that just cut out. There are just bits missing. And then the audio is also in a pretty poor state for a lot of it. But again, I'm pretty sure some of that could be restored. So it would take a lot of restoration work. Obviously, it's one of the oldest Gerry Anderson series, and therefore, therefore would require some of the most intense restoration work. But then again, each episode is only 15 minutes long. So there's kind of less material there than you'd have to work with than doing, say, the Stingray Blu-ray release or things like that. There's literally half as much. There's potential for bonus features there. Gerry Anderson recorded a couple of audio commentaries back in the day. Barry Gray, has a lot of paperwork material from the Barry Gray archive there. So the DVD release is great. It's a really, really nice DVD. I'm very, very much encouraged to see that Four Feather Falls has been re-released on DVD since Network went out of business. That's really good to see. So Four Feather Falls on Blu-ray would be fantastic. Secret Service on Blu-ray would be amazing. The only other Gerry Anderson series that I can think of, there are two other Gerry Anderson series, not two, three. There's a few more Gerry Anderson series that I would love to see on Blu-ray. Torchy the Battery Boy, I mean, I'll take it or leave it, but if they do a Blu-ray release of it, I'd be like, wow. It's very unlikely, but who knows, maybe. The Protectors, shot on film, perfect candidate for a Blu-ray release. Can understand why that hasn't happened in the past, but I think Network probably would have gotten to it eventually. So it would be nice to think that maybe Anderson Entertainment might carry on and eventually do a Blu-ray release of The Protectors. So that would be really nice to see. And then Lavender Castle is the other one. And I know that the rights issues for that are a big old mess, and it was shot on digital. So I don't even know if you can do an HD release of Lavender Castle. I don't know enough about it. But if it wasn't filmed in high definition, maybe there's no point doing a Blu-ray release. I have no idea, but I know that it would look amazing, and if the AI upscaling could do it, maybe that's the answer. But yeah, don't know enough about Lavender Castle, but if they did a Blu-ray release of it, I would definitely snap that up because I think it would look really good. So there we go. So I've talked a little bit. I honestly thought I would cover more ground than I have. So maybe I need to do a sequel to this, but I think I've talked enough about Blu-ray releases, and I want a big Thunderbird 5 toy at some point. But I'm sure there are many other pieces of merchandise that you would like to see. So if there is anything that you would love to see be produced, whether it's a new Thunderbirds toy or a Captain Scarlet thingamajig, I don't know. The books, lots of books and audio books and stuff. It's audio dramas. I would love to see more of those. Yeah, let me know in the comments what pieces of Gerry Anderson merchandise you would like to see in the future, because I think there's a lot of opportunity there, and it would be really, really fun to hear your ideas and go crazy. Come up with weird and wonderful things. It would be amazing to hear. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for weekly videos on here. Head to ko-fi.com/JackNoll to give what you can, but only if you can, please. And yeah, thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.
Security hazard negative.